Hello, everyone. This is the retired guy on Main Street Sanity, a retiree's take. And today it's a little later. Well, it's never later, but it's how to tell when a liberal is lying. So, and I'll start out with if people kind of remember back, you have to be obviously older generation. 1980 through President Reagan, then follow on to President Bush the senior, then President Clinton, and President Bush the junior. They all had the same philosophy in that Iran was the chief state terror in the world. And they must never get a nuclear bomb. And that's well documented, pure and simple. And even going back, listening to Chuck, I have no testicles, Schumer, same thing. He even said it, along with just about every senator and every congressman back in the day. And so it was just the common sense thing. Everybody knew it, and everyone said the same thing, whether you were at the time when we had a Democratic Party, a Democrat, or a Republican. They all agreed on this. And fast forward to 2008, and we get President Obama. And he decides he's going to give them a boatload of cash and try to deal with them, where none of the other presidents really dealt with them at all. But they didn't do anything either. But President Obama, he gives them all sorts of cash, has them say, hey, we promise, not to do this and that. And we knew they weren't going to abide by this, and they didn't. So then comes in President Trump, his first term, and he put Iran under his thumb, which he should have, and he did. He got rid of some of their top leaders, Soleimani, definitely. Renewed the sanctions, got rid of the deal that President Obama did because it was not a good deal for the United States. And lo and behold, who even said that? Chuck, I have no testicles, Schumer. He even said that was not a good deal. Well documented, and you can see. So for 4 years, Iran was kind of under the thumb. And once again, President Trump's going back, they must not have a nuclear weapon. More sanctions. Like I said, taking out some of the leaders of his military and so on. Then we come in with Biden, auto pen, and the one that, and this is how we start to know when we had shifted from a two-party country to a three-party country. And I noted this on my previous podcast. Republican, now we have the Socialist Party, the Liberal Socialist Party, and the Democratic Party. And the only Democrat in the Democrat Party, John Fetterman. Now this is where all the socialist liberals in the party were commenting how fit Biden was to be president. Hence, That's one of the indications you knew you were being lied to. And how? Their lips were moving. Absolutely, their lips were moving. That's how we know that they lied. Biden comes in, eases sanctions, re-ups the deal, part of the deal from Obama. And so for 4 years, Iran ran amok, now enriching uranium for a nuclear weapon, building up their forces, building up their missiles. Oh, we don't have intercontinental ballistic missiles. Well, we found out that yeah, they did. So now comes in President Trump's second term, and lo and behold, we find out within 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 6, Iran was going to have a nuclear bomb. And everybody in the world says that was a bad idea. Totally a bad idea. Because there would be no peace in this world and they would use it. Everyone knows they wouldn't use it. They wouldn't threat to use it. They would use it. First it'd be Israel. The neighbors around there would be gone. Europe, which, yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen, but that's a topic for another time. So President Trump goes in, Midnight Hammer takes care of that portion. Now he's taking out care of their military and beating them down and making them work to give up their nuclear ambitions, the material that they have. They're going to have to do it. Everyone knows they're going to have to do it. It's just the time it's going to take to do it. And it's not going to take a whole lot of time now. Okay, sorry. Somebody called in and I had to stop for a second. But getting back to Iran, they're going to have to come to the table and meet all of our demands. They're just going to have to. And everybody knows it. But now I get to the other portion. How do we know when a liberal socialist is lying? Is you hear Chuck, I have no testicles, Shammer, saying, we're worse off with Iran. They're stronger. They're winning the war and all of this. So here we have Chuck Shammer's lips flapping, so we know he's lying. Listen to Waste of Skin Warner. And it's just embarrassing to listen to him say that America is the bad guys in this. Even though he's one of those that said they should never have a nuclear weapon. And this is what the president is preventing them. But we're the bad guys. And so anyone, the socialist liberals, they sit there and say, yeah, we're losing. This wasn't done well. He didn't have a plan. So just so you know they're lying because their lips are moving. Clear and simple. And you have the liberal networks saying the same thing. And it's too bad that the liberal networks no longer have real journalists that actually get out there, research, that are unbiased, and actually tell you the truth. That's sad to say. That's where we're at nowadays, is we have the socialist liberal networks and the Socialist Liberal Party. And anytime they open their mouth and start talking, they're lying. We know they're lying. And like I said, the only Democrat, John Fetterman, I was reading something he wrote. He says, we are definitely winning this war. And he's giving kudos to the president, as he should, because he agrees with it. He doesn't agree with everything with the president, and you don't have to. But the Socialist Liberal Party are so hateful of President Trump. They will destroy the United States of America over it. And they have no qualms about it. They have nothing good to say about the military and the actions they have performed, which have been outstanding. And I will say the Secretary of War has brought back the military from what I remember what it was like when you were proud to be in the military, proud to serve, went in harm's way because that was your job to protect the United States of America and everybody in it, even the liberal socialist. So I just wanted to, throw everything out there that how you know when a liberal socialist is lying, their lips are moving. Now I'll touch on a little bit about Eric Swallow, and I find it comical. And this is also how you know the socialist liberal are lying. How all of a sudden, we didn't know he was doing this. He lied to us. We did not know. We were blindsided. Oh my God, really? There are no secrets in Washington. Everybody knows that. They even got their slush fund to pay people to be quiet. And that's well known. Just like this is well known. So when Nancy Pelosi gets up there and says, I didn't know anything about this, you know she's lying through her false teeth and her plastic face. There's no doubt about that. So, he's a snake. He always thought he was a snake. He was one of the, a huge liberal liar, liberal socialist liar to begin with. And, I have no sympathy for him. The sympathy I have is for the people that he raped, allegedly raped. That's who I have the sympathy for. And I think the best part would be is some of these donors. I heard that one donor say he's no longer, well, he said a Democrat, because, like I said, there's only one Democrat in the Democrat Party, John Fetterman, that he's now a independent or libertarian, one of the two. He's no longer donating, as he shouldn't. So, just saying, they're losing people as they should, and hope some of these people see the actions of President Trump and say, I can't agree with him on everything, but look at what he's doing to save our country and protect our country and the world. So, some of these, I'll call them used to be Democrats, that, well, actually are still Democrats, but found out that their party is one Democrat, again, John Fetterman, that they start seeing the light of these socialist liberals and decide maybe this isn't the direction that they want to go. And see that we actually have a president that is putting the country first. And like I say, you don't have to agree with everything that he says or does. But look at what he's doing. If it's better for the country, isn't it worth saying this is a good thing? And even when it comes time to voting, look at some of the people that the liberal socialists want to put up there and sit there and say, well, I don't agree with the Republican, but I can't consciously vote for this guy or gal. And actually vote Republican. It's not a bad thing to vote for somebody else in a different party. If you have the candidates and I've said this before, we no longer have this is the best candidate. That went away in the early 80s or in the 80s. It's now who's the least worst candidate. So you might not like the Republican, but in the end, they're the least worst candidate. And it's worth the effort to say, yes, I'm going to vote for this person. When you have a far left liberal socialists, and it's going to continue to drag and tear our country apart. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's never good not to vote. And I've said this before. Back in the 80s, I actually voted for a Democrat for a Senate seat in Virginia. James Webb. He was the Secretary of the Navy, and he was a great Secretary of the Navy for Ronald Reagan. He changed parties, become a Democrat. I didn't care. But he was doing a good job. And I said back then he was the best candidate. And and I'll repeat it, we no longer have best candidates. We have who's the least worst candidates. So just think it over. And my last point on this is it kind of caught me kind of funny when I was watching the news and they were talking about Eric Swallow, and Pocahontas Warren. They were interviewing her, and she says, yeah, that's what happens when you're put in a position of power, you take advantage of it. Think about that when she said that. A position of power. They're not in power. They need to understand that, and we need to understand it. They're not in power. They're elected officials. We actually have the power to sit there and say, I will let you stay there. Or, no, you're not going to stay there anymore. That's the real power. Don't let them think they have power. Because if you let them think they have power, look where we're going to be at. Just where we're at right now. They don't have the power. We do. And they look at you saying, who's this nobody? Always remember, the nobody is a voter. Okay, that's enough. This is a retired guy. I'll be posting this again, and actually even on YouTube. Check it out if you want. Any comments, email me at retiredguys@myyahoo.com. Until next time, talk to you later.